The slave owner said to Xu Ying, "Good boy, you came back by yourself. Are your hands ready for me to cut off and be eaten by monsters?" Xu Ying was so amused by Richie the slave owner's words that even the readers called Richie a chunibyo, or a very idiot. Richie said to Xu Ying, "You should feel honored to be killed by me." Then he pulled out a skill called Slave Chain Restrict. Xu Ying was hit by the attack and was wrapped by the chain from the attack. Uncle Ben panicked seeing Xu Ying's condition. Richie said, "Do you know why I learned electricity magic?" Then he answered, "Because this magic is the most effective to punish slaves." And electricity began to strike Xu Ying. But despite being struck by a huge electricity, Xu Ying looked fine. Richie was very surprised to see it. Xu Ying was equally surprised. He did not expect after he defeated the subterranean king, he became very strong. The scene returned to Xu Ying, who was facing the subterranean king. After he failed to kill the monster, he ran while avoiding the monster's attacks. Xu Ying felt very confused because he had no other way to deal with such a monster. Just being able to be free from the monster's grasp was already a miracle for him. When he was thinking the monster attacked him again, Xu Ying managed to dodge the attack. He also ran in the hands of the monster. Xu Ying had previously given one skill point to his manon, and that was enough so that he could use magic. The requirements for using magic spells are having enough mana and reading spells. But because he is the creator of this comics, so he knows all the spells in this world. And the spell that requires 1 mana is the explosion spell. Xu Ying also jumped from the monster's hand and hung above. While saying the spell, then he released his magic and exploded 25 tons of magic crystal. Because of his attack, the monster was finally killed. It also gained 50 skill points and received a special gift in the form of recovery of all the wounds he had. After successfully killing the monster, Xu Ying became stronger than Ash. Previously, Ash had to risk his life to fight Richie. But for him now, it will be very easy. Because Xu Ying had previously broken the chain that bound him, Richie's hand was injured. Richie insulted him while saying he would kill him. But very quickly, Xu Ying beat Richie's face, and he bounced very fast, crashing into his soldiers behind. Uncle Ben was very surprised that he could knock them all down with just one blow. Xu Ying's slave necklace suddenly glowed, and Richie said that as long as the slave contract is still there, you can't do anything and you will forever be my slave. Xu Ying just stood still and ignored him. He stood in front of the wall and hit the wall, and inside was a slave contract. Richie was very surprised. How could she know the contract was there? Of course he knew because he was the creator of his own comic. Xu Ying said, "You should be grateful to him because, if he was Ash, he would have tortured you to tell him where he hid the contract." After that, he burned all the slave contracts and told everyone that they were now free. The slave chains began to fall off of all of them. Everyone discussed how they could build their own village after getting out of this place. They would definitely force Richie and his group to work on rebuilding the village, and Uncle Ben was elected as the village chief. In the original comic, Ash and the slaves fought with Richie's group and many died in the fight. Xu Ying thought, is he better than Ash? Finally, after a long time, he and the slaves were able to get out of the cave and could see the sunlight. There was only 1 month left until the Demon King was freed from his seal. In the original comics, after the Demon King came, Ash and the other lands would be shocked. But since he knew what would happen, he would not let it happen. But he must not act rashly because it would lead to his death. Xu Ying felt he had to understand himself better first, and he opened his status panel. Previously, he still had 50 skill points that had not been distributed. He also used 30 skill points to strengthen his body and left the rest for emergencies. Xu Ying felt that the information about him was still too little, but he realized that there was a button to go to the next page. So he asked the administrator to change the page. There were the reactions of the readers and the number of chapters he had made. If he had just made 2 chapters and Chapter 2 had more likes and favorites than Chapter 1. Because he managed to kill the subterranean king, who was an enemy that Ash could never kill, he got recognition from the readers. Xu Ying did not expect that the monsters he had removed could help him to increase his comic rating. He became more confident that he would make this comic better than before. The system also tells him that he has a skill diagram on page 3. And there it is explained that the number of favorites and likes can be used to unlock skills. CTRL plus Q and CTRL plus C are the default skills he already has as an author. So as long as he can increase the number of readers and the number of favorites, he can unlock skills and become very strong or overpowered. 2 days later, the Wind Kingdom will officially hold conscription, and in the original comic, Ash is a person who participates in conscription, so Su Ying will also join the conscription, and of course, by joining the conscription, he can see the female protagonist there, Princess Tia. Su Ying plans to gain the trust of the Wind Kingdom and Princess Tia. But it won't be easy because Princess Tia is a person who doesn't respect the world she lives in. But he and Ash are different people. His thoughts are different. His strength is different. Even he has a skill that only Arthur has. So instead of waiting for Demon King Moriarty to rise, it would be better if he killed him while he was still sealed. He is also looking forward to when the final boss is gone. What will happen later? At the same time in the Wind Kingdom, Prince Bellad's, who is the elder brother, Prince Belcody Gautier, who is Tia's younger brother, and Princess Belicia Gautier were asked to attend the enrollment ceremony, and King Gautier, who is their father, allowed them all to attend the ceremony. But Prince Lodz said that he could not attend the ceremony because he had to lead the troops to kill the magical beast. Prince Cody also suggested sending Princess Tia alone because she had more time than them, especially for the princess who was about to get married, to show her face to the public so that she could get more support. Princess Tia, who heard that remark, also said with emotion, "You son of a bitch, stop saying things like that." That after that, she spoke to her father that she would not follow the ceremony either. 1 month from now, the seal of Demon King Moriarty will be released, and it causes all monsters in this part of the world to go crazy and attacks from monsters to increase. The threat at that time was at the disaster level. Then the King of Wind Kingdom immediately formed an army of volunteers to help overcome the disaster, and Su Ying would use the opportunity to approach the royal family. Francis, a middle-rank commander, told everyone that this disaster was very dangerous, but for all of them, this could be used as an opportunity. He told them that you lowly people should be proud to go to the Wind Kingdom. Su Ying explained that in the original comic, Francis was a cunning, deceitful person and did not care about human life. If there were subordinates who opposed him, he would immediately kill his subordinates. Ash once made Francis angry, and it almost got him killed during the registration ceremony. Su Ying thought that he should not be like Ash. He wanted to control the situation well and create a favorable storyline for himself. He planned to beat Francis at the enrollment ceremony to get Tia's attention. That way, he would have a chance to get closer to the Wind Kingdom. Commander Francis asked them all to board the ship, and after they all boarded, the ship took off in a flash. Su Ying, even though as an author he felt very amazed that the ship he drew himself could fly like this. Not long after that, a soldier came to Su Ying's room, and he told him that this time there were too many people signed up, and they were having trouble managing them, so they would divide them into 4 groups and choose a captain in each group. Then each captain would report the situation of his team to the superiors. Then Su Ying was called by the soldiers. With a look of condescension, they said that now he was in his group, and they were preparing for the meeting, so please wait for a while. Su Ying had made the same decision as Ash. Even the group dormitory was the same, so he already knew what would happen in the future, and he would easily follow the storyline while changing the parts that were not exciting. The soldier who previously called Su Ying said that he should be more relaxed and alert. If he hears things he shouldn't hear, it's better to keep his mouth shut, that way they will be able to get along. Su Ying also said in his heart, even if he didn't tell him, that he already knew it because he made him say that, actually those soldiers are magic stone thieves. They entered the military in order to steal magic stone in the military camp. They in the original comic threatened Ash because they were afraid Ash would leak what they did. But Ash fought with the 3 of them and was caught by Francis and considered Ash their accomplice. Francis then sentenced them to a duel to the death, but until the duel ended, Ash did not kill them even though he had won the match, and that made Francis angry. It made the 3 soldiers die, and Francis wanted to kill Ash too because he had defied his orders, but fortunately Tia told them to stop, otherwise Ash would have died. Su Ying thought that if she wanted to get close to the work family, she should think about her move carefully. First, she must not follow the flow of the original comic and must not clash with the 3 of them. She must focus her attention on Francis. In the original comic, many readers were disappointed that Ash couldn't defeat Francis, which made Su Ying think that readers like versatile protagonists, so she would rely on her own abilities and make this comic more interesting. Suddenly the system gave him a limited mission, telling him to be the boss of the 3. He had already thought about it, but the time given by the mission was 10 seconds. He was shocked because how could he complete the mission with only 10 seconds? While the time counted down, Su Ying was called by the 3 people, but because he was panicking and uttering unclear sentences to them. The 3 people were confused by Su Ying's words, because time was running out. With a serious face and fast movements, he tried to beat them while saying, "I beg you, let me be your boss." They replied back. They replied with, "Is that what you call begging?" Then they were all knocked down by Xu Ying and bounced out. Xu Ying forgot that she was still in the air, and she rushed to hold the hand of one of them, and the other was hanging on her friend's leg. There were only 4 seconds left. If they fell down, then this would all be chaotic. The person Xu Ying held his hand begged to pull them up, and they would do anything. Then Xu Ying also asked them to call him boss. Just when there was 1 second left, they all called Xu Ying boss, and the mission was completed. He was rewarded with 10 skill points and 13 positive reviews from the readers. From the ship's tow, they were given an announcement that soon they would reach the Wind Kingdom, and were asked to leave the cabin with their group. Because Xu Ying had become the boss, the 3 of them became very kind to Xu Ying. The 3 of them said that from now on he would be willing to follow him. The 3 of them were Mark brothers, and had the nicknames Mark 1, 2, and 3. Commander Francis appeared and asked them what was going on here. Because there were fist marks on their chests, Francis already knew that someone was making trouble on this ship. Xu Ying thought that if they were all punished, then he would not be able to change the storyline. Xu Ying raised his hand and said that he was the cause, but before Xu Ying's words were finished, the 3 of them immediately defended Xu Ying, and said that it was the 3 of them fighting and had nothing to do with Xu Ying. Xu Ying was surprised why they were defending him. This was tantamount to inviting death. Then Xu Ying remembered that he was the one who made them have a loyal nature. Francis also said that in the registration ceremony there is a tradition that if they want to fight, then it is better to fight to the death. Xu Ying panicked because if this happened, then this incident was no different from the original comic. He rushed to do something and tried to beat Francis. But Xu Ying's fist was easily blocked, and Francis said he just wanted to fulfill their wishes. "If you want to die, let's tell me what kind of death you want." Xu Ying was happy that he finally realized himself. Xu Ying said that he wanted to officially fight with him at this year's registration ceremony, and he was willing to fight to the death in the arena. The Mark brothers were shocked that he was challenging a mid-rank commander. With his powerful killing aura, Commander Francis was intrigued by Xu Ying's challenge, and he was willing to fight him at the enlistment ceremony. While enduring the aura, Xu Ying smiled and said, "Gotcha." Their ship finally arrived at the Wind Kingdom. There was an announcement from Hubert, the chief steward of the kingdom, telling the citizens to come to the registration ceremony, and members of the royal family would also attend the ceremony. The citizens wondered who the royal family would attend this ceremony, and one of the citizens replied, "Who else? Surely that useless princess will attend," and they laughed at that answer. The scene went straight to Xu Ying, who was in the battle arena. She was thinking of ways to defeat Francis, because this battle would be difficult due to their huge power gap. So she had to prepare a plan so that everything could go well. The registration ceremony was officially opened, and there was a welcome for Princess Tia, and she was going to make a speech. Xu Ying was happy that he finally met Tia, and he promised that the previous thing would not happen again. There Tia gave thanks to the citizens who had dared to fight the monsters. While giving a speech, she muttered in her heart and said, "Dan, I didn't want to be here." The scene returned to when Tia refused to attend the registration ceremony. Tia, who refused to attend, was given an explanation by her father that she had to attend the ceremony because your other siblings had more important problems than the ceremony, so you had to attend the event. Then Tia also wanted to give an explanation, but her father firmly replied that she had to attend the ceremony. Tia also said in her heart, "Why doesn't anyone understand her?" Everyone who saw her was always compared to her brother, who was more talented than her. Many people said that she was a useless princess, and they said just try a little. But Tia thought that even if she tried, no one would see her efforts. While crying, she said that she also really wanted to be like her brother, do things for her country, and make everyone proud of her. The scene returned to Tia, who was reading the speech she had written in her hand. She said, "With everyone participating, we will definitely win against this disaster." Tia was relieved that she had finished her business, and she was about to leave. When she wanted to leave, Commander Francis asked her to wait, because he wanted to report something. Francis pointed at Xu Ying and said that she was the one who broke the military order and challenged him. Francis proposed a duel between him and Xu Ying, and he continued that this fight could set an example of discipline for the new recruits, and this duel could liven up the atmosphere at the enlistment ceremony. Smiling, Tia refused the duel and said to herself, "Old man, he must just want to show off." Commander Francis replied, "Fine." But Xu Ying could not give up this opportunity. When Princess Tia said goodbye to leave, Xu Ying said, "Well, It's a pity that this is such a rare opportunity. The princess must have an important matter to attend. I wonder if you want to join Prince Lodz in his military operation or join Prince Cody's seminar? Princess Tia stopped, and she was shocked. How does she know that? When the Lodz and Cody assignments had not been made public, who is she? Tai replied that she had no such interest. Su Ying was proud that the female protagonist of the comic didn't lie to get away with it. Su Ying continued, "If you don't have that kind of interest, why don't you watch the match between me and Francis?" Tai replied, "Sir Francis, I think you're right. This guy is arrogant and has no respect for others. I hope you can find out the origin of this person." Muttering to herself, Princess Tia said, "Damn him, he's a pain in the ass." Su Ying replied to Princess Tia's words, saying she was a nobody. She was just a despicable minor who hoped to die with honor in the battle arena. Since Tia did not fall for his trick, she took out her main card and said, "At least it's better than being a useless princess." Tia was angered by Su Ying's words. Francis said in his heart, "Does this boy not understand the consequences of offending the royal family? The person who dares to do this must be a fool or an extraordinary person." Francis began to suspect whether Su Ying was someone with a prestigious background, or was he just pretending? Tai replied, "Well, if you want to die, then I'll grant it." She said, "Let's see what you can do." Su Ying felt guilty for hurting Tia's feelings, but if he didn't say that, then he couldn't attract her attention and keep the princess royal here. Since this had happened, Francis would have been more cautious of her, and because of his caution he would have suspected that I had a strong background. But with that, he would have had a chance to defeat her. Then they were told to enter the arena, and the arena was surrounded by sparkling light. Francis insulted Su Ying, and he said to be fair he will explain what this is. But Su Ying replied that he already knew the shimmering light around him was the barrier, and they wouldn't be able to get out until the winner was found. Francis replied that it seemed like he had knowledge too, but it was useless. With one attack the barrier will open. Then Princess Tia said, "Let's start the duel." When the duel started, Francis quickly attacked Su Ying, but fortunately he was able to parry the attack. Su Ying, while sweating from the attack, said, "Is this the attack that you said would kill me in one hit?" But actually the attack almost shattered the bones in his hand. Francis replied, "You arrogant bastard." He was shocked because the attack shouldn't be able to be withstood by him. Was he hiding his strength? The attack continued and caused both of them to bounce back. The soldiers outside were amazed at Su Ying for being able to withstand Sir Francis' attack, and said that she was at least as strong as a captain. The other soldiers also cheered Su Ying and said that he was amazing. Francis was also annoyed by the cheers admiring trash like him. After coming down from here, he would definitely dismember them. But Su Ying replied that it won't happen, because the one who will come out of this barrier is me. As the fight continued, Su Ying, who was hit by Francis' attack, was sent flying backwards, and she realized that this was not just a difference in strength, but her fighting experience was far greater than his. Francis said, "Let's see how long you can last." Su Ying provoked him and said that she was the one who couldn't hold out against him. Francis was angered and quickly wanted to continue his attack. Su Ying was in a panic, because she didn't know which direction her attack would come from. The scene changed to Su Ying playing the game in the past. She was amazed by the game, and the knight character. There was a perfect attack for Francis to use. Then, when the scene returned to the battle, Su Ying was able to dodge Francis' attack, but the attack created a strong wind. Even just the wind from the sword could hurt Su Ying's face. Francis was surprised that she was able to dodge his attack. Su Ying continued to provoke Francis, and said, "Not bad, keep attacking well like that." An emotionally charged Francis continued his attack, but Su Ying was able to dodge the attack again. Francis was surprised why she was able to dodge again. Then, shortly afterwards, Su Ying countered his attack, but it was blocked by his hand very easily. Su Ying thought that he had to finish this match immediately. Otherwise, the possibility of him getting killed would be very high. Su Ying continued to provoke him, but the attack this time was able to flag Su Ying, and he was in great pain from the attack. Francis approached Su Ying, and he said, "You are not as strong as I thought," and while shouting loudly he said, "Everyone look. This is the result of challenging myself and the Wind Kingdom." Then with all his might Sir Francis slashed at Su Ying, and said, "Die." Francis also said in his heart, "That's it, the speech I gave earlier will definitely increase his rank and status." But he wondered why the barrier hadn't opened yet. Isn't the match already over? But unexpectedly, Su Ying quickly came and hit Francis with her fist. Then Francis was bounced off and hit the barrier until it cracked. Everyone was shocked, and the Mark brothers said the boss was a very strong man. Francis was surprised how could the boy's strength increase. It turned out that Su Ying had 20 skill points that he hadn't used, and he distributed them all to his strength. Su Ying started his speech and said he was an ordinary miner. He wanted to serve his country, and that's why he joined the army as a volunteer. But because of a trivial matter, Sir Francis got angry with him. "I didn't come here to just die. I want to stand on the battlefield and kill monsters." He also asked to encourage him and cheer for him. The citizens wondered why a person who was in a fight to the death would ask to cheer for him. But they felt that it was fine as long as it was fun to watch, especially a new member who could fly a mid-rank knight. He was extraordinary. Then the audience cheered for her to kill Sir Francis immediately. Princess Tia became confused as to why the citizens were cheering for Su Ying and instead lowering Sir Francis' reputation. Francis said that these idiots, I didn't expect them to cheer for a low-rank warrior. He became angry and he entered berserk mode. In this state, his strength would increase twice, and he would attack anyone who had enmity with him. Su Ying had been waiting for this moment. Earlier on the ship he tried to beat Francis up, not only so that he could challenge him, but it was so that Francis could measure his strength level. Francis was very paranoid, so he wouldn't accept a challenge unless he was sure he could win. Su Ying's poor attitude towards work would make the confident Francis angry, and with his reputation already down it, caused him to change to berserk mode. That way, rather than him, Francis would attack. Su Ying placed the Mark brothers outside and told them to continue taunting Francis. Because he was provoked by the taunts, Francis, who had lost his mind, broke through the barrier. It caused the barrier's defenses to activate, and it would catch anyone who tried to break out of the barrier by force. Su Ying was actually unable to defeat Francis, but since he had already walked into Su Ying's trap, Francis would become very easy to hunt down for him.